In international diplomacy, as in domestic political life, we've got to follow the wisdom of William F. Buckley. You take the world as you find it and not how you wish it to be. And the reality on the ground in Gaza is clear to all. The prolonged killing.
Psychobabble nonsense. Typical liberal. I don't give a damn if he calls himself a Republican or a conservative. I don't give a damn what he calls himself. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I don't give a damn what any of these moronic imbeciles call themselves. I'm done with the D's and I'm done with the R's. Typical liberal psychobabble nonsense. Everything he just said has nothing to do with the fact that he accused Israel of indiscriminately killing women and children. They try and give them warning. They try and give them a few minutes for the innocent to get out. Most of the time they're responding. They have a sophisticated radar system that as soon as a missile comes up, the Iron Dome has such a sophisticated radar that as soon as a missile goes up, it knows where it came from and it knows where it's heading. So they don't waste money and ammunition on missiles that are going to land out in the middle of nowhere. Within seconds of a missile coming up, it sees right where it came from, and it sees right where it's heading. And then within seconds, it decides whether it needs to shoot it down or not. That's how sophisticated their radar is. And most of the time, they're responding to a launch site. And I personally, while it may be sad that women and children are being used as shields at these launch sites, Israel has every right to wipe them off the face of the earth. Period. You know, well, let's finish this. Let's wrap this up with the morning idiot.
Of children and women in Palestinian territories will only serve to weaken Israel and serve to strengthen Hamas.
Let's back up a bit.
Find it and not how you wish it to be. And the reality on the ground in Gaza is clear to all.
Back up
The
again.
prolonged support the Jewish state over the Islamic terror outfit.
Sure you do.
Turkey and Qatar, of course,
Shut up, stupid.
of Hamas. But they're practically alone in the region. It's also true that the United States has less leverage to move both sides to a peaceful solution because Israel's longtime distrust of President Obama and lining up with Turkey and Qatar in peace talks doesn't help bridge that divide. But in international diplomacy, as in domestic political life, we've got to follow the wisdom of William F. Buckley. You take the world as you find it and not how you wish it to be.
That he's talking about liberals. He's talking about liberals, not the simple-minded people who took offense to him attacking Israel and accusing them of just killing women and children for the fun of it. Conservatives tend to accept the world as it is and not how they wish it would be. Liberals refuse to accept the world as it is, and they try and force their idea of what they think it should be on the rest of us. Joe?
And the reality on the ground in Gaza is clear to all. The prolonged killing of children and women in Palestinian territories will only serve to weaken Israel and serve to strengthen Hamas. And tragically, this comes at a time when
That's
Hamas...
funny, Joe. Yesterday it was indiscriminate killing, which means they really didn't care whether they killed women or children. They really didn't try and do anything to prevent from killing women and children. You know, dropping the little bang bombs on the roof a few minutes before they send the real bomb in to give people a warning to get out. You know, the thing that Jon Stewart joked about last week. that's indiscriminate. No, it's not. Israel's doing everything in their power to minimize collateral damage, to minimize civilian casualties. Yesterday, you said they were indiscriminately killing women and children. Today, it's prolonged. Prolonged killing of innocent people is not good. Well, we know that, stupid.
Leadership was on the run. They were hated at home. They were isolated abroad. And then this began. Yes, they fired missiles into Israel. Why? Because they were on the verge of political destruction in Gaza.
Whatever.
But now, every day that goes by with images of children being pulled out of the rubble of bombed out schools, bombed out hospitals, and bombed out marketplaces is a day that only makes Hamas stronger and threatens Israel's long-term security. That's bad for Israel. That's bad for America. And that's bad for Middle East peace. And think about this while you're going down your punch list of what you think people on the extremes will like. Blindly supporting Israel and Israeli politicians when their actions may actually be strengthening their enemies and our enemies like Hamas is no way to show your support and no way to show your friendship.
What a buffoon.
That'll make your point clear.
What an ignorant buffoon. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Killing your enemy is really only going to make them stronger, strengthen their position, and make them popular. Yeah. What a moron. That's the whole point of war, dummy. Killing your enemy. And if your enemy chooses to hide among women and children, and you do your best to separate the two, but you can't, then you do what you got to do. It's messy, it's ugly, and it's regrettable. Blindly supporting Israel. I'll tell you what. See, I couldn't go on these shows because, best case scenario, I'd call him out. What the hell are you talking about? You are the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever talked to. What are you talking about? Israel's doing everything they can to prevent killing of innocent civilians. But when your enemy's firing rockets from their living rooms, you don't have much choice. When your enemy has tunnels coming out of UN buildings, hospitals, and schools, and they're storing their weapons there, you don't have much choice. It's regrettable. But it's not Israel's fault. It's the Palestinian Authority's fault. It's Hamas's fault. It's the terrorists' fault. It's not Israel's fault. And I'd be lucky if all I did was cuss him out. I'd probably smack him in the mouth. I wouldn't, because I want to. I don't go around smacking people in the mouth. Don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But I'd want to. It'd take every ounce of fiber in my being not to. I mean, that's how stupid these people are. They're going to get us all killed. Presenting nonsensical arguments about how killing your enemy is only going to make them stronger. We got to quit supporting Israel. The first 2 minutes of his little speech there, he sounded like a real conservative. Hey, these terrorists are hiding themselves among women and children. They're coming out of tunnels. Israel has every right to kill them. But in the next breath, which is typical liberal schizophrenia, in the next breath he says, but blindly supporting Israel and politicians. and policies that are only going to make their enemies stronger. The hell are you talking about, idiot? I'm trying to sugarcoat it a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I don't want to sound mean. Hey, these morons are going to get us all killed. Morons in the media, morons in Washington, morons, pick a government organization, morons at the EPA, morons at the NSA, morons at the CIA, morons at the IRS, a bunch of morons. Homeland Security. They're busy checking grandma's depends, but they don't dare pull a, Muslim out of the line because he's a Muslim. The people are trying to cut our heads off and blow us up. We don't dare pull one of them out of the line. We got to search grandma's depends. She might have a bomb in there, for God's sakes. Them depends are when they fill up. They get bulky and bulgy, and who God knows what grandma's got in there. These people are idiots of the first order. Joe Scarborough, you disgust me. You're a disgusting, despicable excuse for an American. And you're lucky we're not living 230 years ago. Somebody might just shut that mouth for you. I'm just saying. Back when men were men. Oh, it's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just bizarre. How is it that the dumbest people on the planet seem to have the biggest microphones, the biggest audiences, the biggest seats of power in our country? There was a time when we only let moral, intelligent people, on TV. We only elected, honorable men to high office. We have some of the most ignorant people who have ever walked the face of the earth now in the highest seats of power in our government. In most of all of the most successful seats in media and on TV. And they're the dumbest people that's ever walked the planet. They're going to bankrupt us. They're going to destroy our economy, destroy our country, and get us all killed. And speaking of some of the dumbest people on the planet, I'm just saying. I know. I get worked up, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who listen to me, you know what kind of man I am, what kind of character I have. If you've listened to the show long, yeah, I get a little wound up. This is my country. We're not talking about. I don't get this wound up when the Colts get beat by the Broncos. I don't get this wound up when the Mets get beat or I don't get this wound up over baseball games or football games. I don't get this wound up at work when somebody does something stupid. I just say, hey, that was kind of stupid, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, here's what you should have done. Next time, if you got any questions, you can ask me. I don't get this worked up over little stuff. This stuff isn't little. There's big stuff going on here. Big stuff going on here. And speaking of some of the dumbest people that's ever walked the face of the earth, from the American Spectator, the evil mind of John Kerry. From Hanoi to Hamas, he wears blinders.